All right, welcome to episode 66 of the 2 Minute Warning. Back on college football today, we're going to be looking at the Clemson Tigers. And this is a team that's coming off a big loss to Notre Dame. Number 4 ranked right now. Clemson Tigers are number 4. Jay, will we see this team in the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I think we'll see this team bring home a championship. I have true holy faith in that entire team and Trevor Lawrence. Really, to me, Clemson's pretty much the same team as last year, and they have no Joe Burrow to go through, so I don't know what's going to stop them. Obviously, they could slip up a game on the way, but their next 3 games are Florida State, Pitt, and Virginia Tech.
3 unranked teams.
Yeah, who are they going to lose out of those 3? And the ACC will probably be a rematch with Notre Dame, but just losing by 7 in double overtime, I think you add Trevor Lawrence, that's a complete different game, and we're not even having this conversation. They're still the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I think Clemson's in a very similar spot to what we talked about Florida. Simple route for them is have to win out. If they win the next 3 games against unranked teams, like you said, Florida State, Pitt, Virginia Tech, 3 very, very winnable games, especially with Trevor Lawrence back. Then, of course, they have to win the ACC championship, because if they drop that to Notre Dame, then Clemson will be bumped, but I don't think they will. So, really, they got to win 4 straight games to make the playoff, and then go from there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they didn't look great against Notre Dame, but I do agree that you put Trevor Lawrence in there, he leads the game-winning drive. They win that game pretty easily, but they do got some stars on that team. Etienne didn't do too hot against Notre Dame, but he's been a Heisman front runner for the majority of the season. And I think Amari Rodgers is their leading receiver, doing pretty good with 730 yards. I think they're all around a good team, and I can definitely see them meeting Notre Dame in the ACC championship and pulling out a win and bumping up to number 2 spot.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think that Clemson gave Notre Dame a pretty good shot over the weekend. I mean, you look at their quarterback, DJ, he threw like 400-plus yards.
Probably 450. He threw the
he
ball
balled,
really well.
Yeah,
no turnovers. He hasn't turned the ball over in 2 games that he's played.
He played great in Lawrence's absence. And, you know, a big thing, I guess, for them was that Notre Dame really stifled the run as far as ETN goes, and their quarterback is usually Clemson is able to get a lot of rush yards from their quarterbacks. And I think one thing that was big that didn't go for Clemson was the fact that James Skalski, their 5th-year senior linebacker, was not in the game. And also they were missing their 3rd-year sophomore linebacker, Jake Venablis. So I think...
why were they not playing?
Injuries,
yeah.
So I think it'll be huge for Clemson to get those guys back later, and I just think like Trevor Lawrence's presence and his aura is so much for that football team.
Yeah.
So I anticipate Clemson winning the ACC, and then if Alabama were to beat Florida, I feel like Notre Dame could slip in also. It would depend on how they would fare up against A&M, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If they put up a good fight against Clemson.
I think if we see an ACC championship that's within 1 score, then I think both of those teams are probably going to find their way.
So you think that if we see an ACC with a 1-score game, and then Florida, say they beat Alabama, they pull off an upset, who do you see?
I see Notre Dame still falling out.
Notre Dame falling out?
If Ohio State's undefeated, then yes, Notre Dame's going to have to go.
But if Alabama wins, they all 4 make it. The rankings don't change, just the seeding probably.
All right.
Yeah, what I saw in this last game against Notre Dame and Clemson, I think that was the first regular season loss that Clemson had in like 33 consecutive regular season wins. So what I saw was a team missing two key defensive players, like Greg said. They're obviously number 1 prospect quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, and I still saw this team put up a really good fight against Notre Dame, go to second overtime with a backup quarterback, a freshman who played really well. I think Clemson was trailing by 10 in the second quarter, maybe 13. And they turned the ball over twice on consecutive drives that gave Notre Dame 10 points. So they overcame some mistakes that they made. So I think those are mistakes that the presence of your quarterback kind of eliminates. So again, DJ Uiagalelei's talent is through the roof, but maybe his leadership isn't quite there because he was a freshman. So I think that these qualities will be returned with Trevor Lawrence, and I think this Clemson team sort of walks all the way through the playoff from here with a little bit of trouble with Notre Dame, but I think they beat Notre Dame by enough to bump them out of the playoff completely in the ACC championship.
Yeah, I think one thing that's huge is the defense, I think, is going to be the key for Clemson in order to really take control of a rematch with Notre Dame, because Obviously, you've seen that Notre Dame can go.
They did not get a single sack against Notre Dame.
Yeah,
by the way,
they can
that
go.
Notre Dame offense really.
That's
really
one thing
played
I was
well.
gonna. One thing I was gonna touch on was that Notre Dame was really able to stifle the defensive rushing attack by Clemson. Clemson did not do a good job of getting to the quarterback, I think. And I think that's something that's definitely going to have to change if they want to stop a guy that's good as Ian Book.
Yeah, Ian Book really he didn't take any sacks. He probably rushed for
because you can
100
see
yards. I don't know.
you could see that Notre Dame can go like mano-a-mano with Clemson offensively. So I just think Clemson's defense, once they get those key guys back and they really establish a rushing attack on the defensive side of the ball, I think that's going to be really key if they want to have a chance to beat Notre Dame again.
I agree with that, and I wanted to touch on one more thing that you said. The Clemson backup quarterback looked really promising. He's a freshman, so hopefully this will give Clemson something to look forward to next year. After Trevor Lawrence, if Trevor Lawrence decides to go to the draft,
They won't miss a beat.
that was a good look for them. I know he's a dual sport athlete, plays baseball. He's just an all around stud. So hopefully he'll do better next year.
Yeah, future bright.
Yeah, you mentioned what they did to Clemson's rushing game. I think Etienne had like 28 rush yards.
Yeah,
on
like
8
0.6
carries.
yards a carry.
Yeah,
it was really not a good game.
He did not. He turned the ball over. He fumbled. He didn't rush well. He caught some key passes out of the backfield, but I think that type of thing gets cleaned up with Trevor Lawrence back, and defense is going to be restored with those two key guys back for Clemson. So I think Clemson takes ACC championship and possibly takes the entire thing this year.
Yeah, like Carson said, I think for the ACC, I think it'll be a big enough difference that Notre Dame completely falls out. And as hopeful I am for the Gators, if I had to bet money, I'm going to have to go with Alabama. The SEC, they keep the number 1 seed. Ohio State and Clemson will be 2 and 3. Number 4, Texas A&M will go from 5 to 4. Alabama beats Texas A&M first round. Clemson beats Ohio State first round. Alabama, Clemson, championship. Clemson wins it all, in my opinion. I had to put money on the line.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep, I say Clemson wins it all too, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 2 more.
Winners.